Welcome to twoquestions.tv. My guest today is Marion McGovern, and we're talking about the gig economy. Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. Joining me today is Marion McGovern, the founder of M Squared Consulting, a gig economy firm she sold to an international conglomerate in 2005. She's the author of this book, Thriving in the Gig Economy. She's a gig person herself and as a corporate director and consultant. Hi, Marion. Welcome to the show.
It is my pleasure, Susan.
I've been looking forward to this for so long. I enjoyed your book. And in the book, and this was a little bit of a mindset shift for me. You talk about how the gig economy isn't actually a new thing. And we're really talking about 29% of the US workforce. And there are so many different ways people can work independently. And it's more than I really ever thought about. So I feel like your book offers a broader definition of what independent work and this gig concept really is. Could you explain it for the listeners and viewers who are perhaps waiting for their copy of the book to arrive?
Surely. Gigs have been around for a long time. In fact, the word first started being used in the 1920s with jazz musicians. Mm-hmm. So they do, a club date for 2 days on one side of town and a club date for a week somewhere else. And that was a gig. And I mentioned that story to someone, and I haven't been able to verify that, but they said it stood for God is good because they got
true.
More.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But anyway, gigs have been around for a long time. And, my expertise was really in the professional space. So people who were doing this as a career, as independent business consultants. And I think that really got accelerated in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s when companies, had made all these acquisitions and then they were bloated and they started changing their organizations and shutting down operations, and all these people were getting, laid off and riffed, and they decided, gee, I don't know if I want to go through this again. And it was 1988 when I started my company, sort of seeing this fact that there were all these people who were out there, and they wanted to offer their services, but there wasn't really anyone making a market. Yeah. So I think what has happened, which is why people think it's new, is now there is such sophisticated technology being brought to bear to create those markets of all different types of talent, whether it's the folks like Catalan and Upwork and Business Talent Group working with those senior consultants that I worked with in the past, or it's folks like Fiverr dealing with tech guys all around the world, or Uber drivers and Lyft guys. I mean, now there is technology which can help create those markets to make it easier for both the buyers and sellers.
Yeah. Well, I really liked that the book covered some strategies for people who really want to be independent and who, don't want to work for a company, and some ways that they can be successful. You also talk about some potential future implications for independent workers. And I have worried somewhat that we're heading down a road where businesses will take advantage of independent workers, and there won't be options for benefits and health insurance. And I just can't tell you how many business owners I've talked to who have said, I had to close my business. I closed my consultancy. I just couldn't afford to stay in business with health insurance being what it really was. And they ended up having to go back and get a traditional job to handle those things. What do you think is in the future now for independent workers, especially since you wrote the book?
Well, I have to say I am an optimist in part because, this has been a problem plaguing America for decades. And the good news is that there are actually smart people working on it now.
Yay.
And working on it at different levels of government. So clearly we need some policy changes and the ability to address some of the social safety net issues where people are kind of falling through. But, right now you have folks like the Aspen Institute with its Future of Work initiative, where they are actually getting great traction on Capitol Hill and getting people like Mark Warner to agree to sponsor a bill to try out portable benefit where the idea of portable benefits are that it would travel with the worker and not emanate from the employer, or in the case of independent workers, from the client.
Mm-hmm.
So he sponsored this legislation, the idea being let's pilot it for a year and then use the learnings from that to inform a policy decision. There are other folks. My actual personal favorite is the idea of having a certified self-employed designation. The idea that, because, partly there's also the fact that people don't get benefits, but there's also the fact that independent workers who want to be independent, who want to just be able to, provide their services to different companies, get stymied because the companies say, oh, I'm worried you might look like my employee. I don't want to do that. And so they can lose business that way. Sure. So this idea of being certified self-employed, the suggestions made that let somebody like the Small Business Administration monitor it, and you provide some documentation that you actually do have multiple clients and you're offering services to the business at large, and you would have a 3-year certificate. That's the notion at this point. But the idea that you then wouldn't have to worry about that issue. Yeah. So I'm optimistic because there are people like that, and there are also interesting entrepreneurs trying to solve some of the problems for folks. You have companies that are looking at developing health insurance products for independent workers, like Stride Health, which is in my backyard here in San Francisco. You have interesting, in the just last 2 months, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the two biggest mortgage issuers in America, have made noises about looking at products for self-employed individuals. I mean, I can't tell you how I used to just shake my head when at my firm M Squared, we would get these requests for income verification, and we could verify that, yes, this person had this 1099 income year over year over year. So what's the magic of a W-2? I mean, you could be terminated any time. And quite frankly, the idea that you generated so much 1099 income year over year may be a better demonstration of your ability to continue servicing that mortgage obligation. Exactly. So it's people are starting to recognize that this is a growing cohort of folks that need financial products, insurance products, and my third thing that I think the whole group needs is respect, because I think there's there's still a portion of the population that's out there saying, oh, well, these are just people who couldn't find a real job. No, they're not. They have a real job, and they're developing that, and it's entrepreneurial, and we should honor that and respect it and celebrate it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that sometimes those people begin as independent workers and can grow into business owners and job creators. And so to not give them that respect, or to hinder them with, I don't know, some of my smaller clients might say self-employment tax might be a detriment. Maybe there's some things we can do to help them out.
Absolutely. Well, and I also think people will have portfolio careers. They'll work for somebody for a while. They'll go out and consult, and maybe they'll get attracted back somewhere, and they'll work there and get some new skills, and then they'll consult. So, so there is that, never burn any bridges, right? Because people will be coming, back and forth from your organization. So you as the client may end up being an employer. So you need to, it's all about the talent now. So you need to be sure the talent wants to come back to you.
Yeah. So interesting. Marion, where can folks find you?
They can find me at marionmcgovern.com, at LinkedIn, Marion McGovern, and I tweet at Marion McGovern. I'm pretty consistent on the Marion McGovern.
Easy to find you then. That's great. Well, thank you for joining me on the show today. Would you like to join me on the after show?
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay. Viewers, if you'd like to join us for the after show, Marion and I are going over to 2questions.tv. It's the only place you can find the after show. So if you want to see it, come with us over there. In the meantime, here's the book. make sure you get your copy, especially if you're an independent worker. We're going to have links down below to Amazon so that you can get your copy and you can find Marion. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.